Okie dokie, here it is, the BMW G310GS. I've been fortunate enough to have this thing for 24 hours. And let me say I've been riding the hell out of it. Okay, so today I'm just going to tell you guys what I don't like about this bike, the top 10 reasons I don't like it. So the first thing I don't like about this bike is something that is very significant because it's the first thing that everyone looks at, the price. This bike is priced at around 8,100 Australian dollars at the moment, brand new, and that's kind of a joke because it's a single cylinder 313cc liquid cooled engine, right? Capable of producing about 34 horsepower, but really at the rear wheel it gets about 29 to 30 horsepower. And the thing that's a joke about that is that you can get the Kawasaki Versys 300X for less than 7,400 Australian dollars, and you can even get the Kawasaki KLR 650, a dual sports legend, for $8,000 at the moment, or even 7,900 on special. Whereas this bike, the price just does not budge. And you'd think that it would have been cheaper in India as well, where it's actually manufactured, it's made in India. Just to give you an idea, you've got a Royal Enfield Himalayan in India, which is worth the equivalent of 3,000 Australian dollars. But then you've got this bike there, which, although it's also manufactured in India, the price is equivalent to 7,000 Australian dollars over there. That's why it kind of gives me the idea that BMW are charging for their badge. You know, I didn't want to be overly judgmental about it, so I gave this bike a chance. 24 hours I've been riding this bike. Obviously not 24 hours straight, I did sleep in between. But I've had the bike for 24 hours, I've been riding the hell out of it. I've done close to 400 kilometers, and there've just been a fair few issues about the bike that stick out to me, and some of them are quite concerning. So you guys really want to watch this video to the end, because basically throughout the whole video I'll be showing things about this bike that are quite concerning and would definitely turn you off the bike if you were intending on buying it. Now, I'm no BMW hater. I think BMW bikes are amazing and are of the highest quality, but this bike seems to be the exception. But let's start off with the comfort aspect of it. So the bike's comfort is nowhere near on par with an actual proper full-fledged adventure bike, and you know what, that's fair enough because it's not supposed to be a fully fledged adventure bike. But this is a second thing I don't like about it, is that although the seat is overly padded, after riding for a while the seat depresses downwards and eventually it feels like you're just sitting on metal. Now, no motorcycle seat should depress like that to the point where you actually feel like you're sitting on the frame or on the battery, but this one does. And after riding it for a few hours yesterday, I really felt my ass getting extremely sore. And the other thing I don't like about the comfort aspect is, although it's got a nice riding triangle, the seating position's quite nice, the handlebars aren't raised enough and the petrol tank is too curved and too wide. And what that does is, when you're adopting the standing position like this, I'm kind of slouched forward and the petrol tank gets in my way. In addition to that, it's got small foot pegs, and I can just imagine that being quite a hassle when you tackle some off-road terrain, because you need a lot of real estate for your feet. Ooh, Hungry Jacks. I had some of that yesterday, it's damn tasty. So third thing I don't like, if you guys didn't already notice, just basically the gear shifting on this bike. It's very clunky and there's too much feedback when you shift gears. So although I'm trying to do it smoothly, it's basically like there's a mini explosion when I'm shifting the gears. Some people might like that. I actually do like it because it feels fun, but the problem with the gear shifting in this aspect is, I'll show you, just give me a second. It's actually quite sluggish. Let's try and shift as quick as I can here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh, here we go, ready? And another thing about it is, I can just move on to the next point because I just noticed it, is that the handlebars are so freaking small and just, I don't know what the hell they're made out of. It literally feels like they're made out of plastic or something, because they're just so small and so easy to manipulate, but not in a good way. Like, literally, you get some jerkiness and dodgy wobbliness on the handlebars when you're riding. So watch this. Ready? I'm gonna let go of the handlebars, just doing this speed. Watch this. See that? Oh, didn't do it too much there. Holy shit. That's so good. He's got a Star Trooper on the back of his bike that says, "Can you see me now?" Oh man, that is so awesome. Oh fucking hell, so good, man. Oh shit, that is funny. So basically, with the handlebars, watch this. Ready? Jerkiness. You've seen that the other day. I'll just put a clip in here of that. I'm not gonna let go of the handlebars too much around here. And look at that, it's wobbling. So wobbliness when you let them go, and not just that, but when you're actually riding and you're doing high speeds and there's a lot of bumpiness on the road, or even just a little bit of bumpiness, and you can feel the wobbliness. The next point why I don't like the bike is the suspension is way too soft and it interferes with cornering on this bike. So basically the suspension is that soft that as I'm cornering on twisty roads, I can really feel the suspension's input too much on those roads, that it actually kind of delays the counter steering on this bike. And that's also a really big letdown, because I was having some fun on this bike yesterday, but I was let down with the suspension. And you'd think, okay, here's the next point, by the way. You'd think, okay, maybe they're trying to improve the comfort and handling of this bike. But that's not the case either, because although you can feel the suspension reacting to bumps and stuff on the road, somehow those bumps still find their way onto the rider. I can still feel those bumps going through the frame and into my body. So I don't know what that's about. The next thing I don't like about the bike is the short gears on it. So basically, to reach 100 kilometers per hour, you need to be in at least the 4th gear. So basically, if you're cruising on a road that's got at least a speed limit of 70 kilometers per hour, then you can expect to always have to shift up to the 5th or 6th gear, obviously just to preserve the fuel mileage and all that stuff as well. You always want to be riding in the highest gear possible, but it's just really troublesome, and it all contributes to the next point, which is rider fatigue. Anyway, so when it comes to rider fatigue, just basically when you combine all those elements of the seat that depresses down and gives you a sore ass, as well as the vibration when you're doing higher speeds through the handlebars and the foot pegs, plus the wobbliness of the handlebars and the not so effective suspension, what you get is, after riding this bike for so long, you get a lot of rider fatigue. And as an adventure bike, that's something that needs to drastically be avoided. You can't have rider fatigue on an adventure bike. Come on, BMW, come on. And then, if I haven't already mentioned this factor, is that when you're going over 90 kilometers per hour, which is what the speed limit here is, now I'm doing 90, I'm in 6th gear, and I can feel some slight vibrations through my hands and through my feet. Although it's not so bothersome when you're riding up to about an hour. But if you're on the main road, you're on the highway, and you're going, say, somewhere really far away, you will feel some tiredness in your hands. But yeah, the whole thing about the handlebars wobbling, now that's really concerning and really turns me off this bike. Oh, and the other thing is, and I just remember every time I use the brakes, is although this bike has ABS, the brakes are somewhat not that effective. They're not really effective. Like, look at this, I'm just brake a bit hard. See, it's just the suspension's too soft, combined with not so effective, not so solid brakes. You don't get a very good braking motion. And personally, I don't really like the sound of the exhaust on this bike. It just sounds really weird. I don't even know how to describe it. It's somewhat a mix between a rickshaw and a robot screaming. Oh, here you go, weak brakes again. See, stopping distance, not too impressive, man. Not too impressive with these brakes. Anyway, so when you put all of those things together, what you get is this motorbike, the BMW G310GS, and I'm not too impressed with it, to be honest. What you get is a somewhat jerky, irresponsive, unpredictable, and unprecise motorbike. Imprecise motorbike. Unlike the Ninja 400 and the Ninja 300, and basically anything that Kawasaki makes, which is just so efficient, predictable, and precise, this motorbike isn't like that. But with its cons, somehow, with its flaws, it is exciting. It's kind of like dating a hot yet crazy woman. So although her personality is terrible, she looks great and she's fun to ride. This is basically what this BMW G310GS is. It looks amazing. She's just so freaking good looking that you just want to jump on and ride her straight away. But then while you're riding her, you're having a great time, you're having fun, but you don't know why, because you come off feeling bruised and battered, coming out of what feels like an abusive relationship. That's what you've had with this motorcycle, because it's what it does to the rider. It abuses you and it basically rapes you, but somehow we all love being raped in that way. So that's just the point I want to make, though, is that although there's a lot wrong with this bike, it's still magically fun to ride somehow. There's just something about it I cannot put my hands on. It's just, it's unpredictableness, it's excessive feedback on the shifting, its seating position, the fact that you can just go hard on it when you accelerate. It gives the rider a sense of enjoyment, a deep sense of enjoyment. And for that, I can't totally say that this is a crap bike. And the fact that it's a somewhat capable all-rounder. You can use it as a commuter bike, you can hit the twisties on the weekend, but not as hard as you'd like to, and you can do mini adventures on it. You could even do probably long adventures on it if you wanted. Haven't tried that yet. This motorbike, in the end, I've got to say that it has confused me. That's why you guys should really go and test ride one for yourself. Test ride it thoroughly before you buy it. And although there's a lot wrong with this bike, it's really fun to ride, and that somewhat makes me ignore what's wrong with the bike. But you personally should never ignore things like that. Please, if you're intending on buying this bike, go and test ride one thoroughly for yourself. And once you've thoroughly test ridden it, you'll truly know whether you like it or not, and whether it's a good bike or not, because at the end of the day, everything that I've said is subjective and is my opinion. Alright, anyway, until next time, guys, peace.